We'll do a review on Likutei Sichas in Chelek Yutes. This is the first Sicha for Elul. And this Sicha, the Rebbe explains the precise wording that the previous Rebbe used in a Pesach Dike Fabrengen. And the Rebbe connects what is it Shaykhs to talk about Elul during the month of Pesach, which there is definitely a significance when the teaching and the Sikha was given, and the Sikha that was given on Pesach has to do with that time of Pesach, and also the exact languages that the previous Rebbe used in the Sikha. The Rebbe explains this in detail. But first, the Rebbe asks, what is the connection between Pesach and Elul, when the contrary usually is Pesach is usually thought as a doidi liva niloid, that things come il ma'ilo lamata, and Elul is anile doidi v'doidi li yisurusa d'lutata, and the Rebbe will explain that eventually that even the sarusa the letat of Elul needs the sarusa de le'ela. That's why it's the gimel mitas rachmim in Elul, which in a general way connects to Pesach, as we will see inside. Aleph. In Einer from the Sichas from Chag Pesach, in one of the talks of the Pesach festival, is Kvod Kedushas Moed Chomad Muri. My father, the Rebbe Metayer, he describes the Mruchnis Dikun Matzav, the spiritual stand was that geherrscht, that prevailed Shabbos Mevorchim Elul in Lubavitch during the Shabbos Mevorchim of the month of Elul in the city of Lubavitch. That was the Irabira. Lubavitch was the capital, Hauptstadt, the main city from Kvod Kedushas Admuri Chabad, from the Chabad Rebbe's in Meshach von Asach Yorn, in the duration for many years, as Rebbe brings down over here in the notes over here. I believe it was 102 years, but the bottom line, that was a capital for Chabad Rebbe's. Wer dort gesagt, so over there, he explains what this standard, what the situation was on Shabbos Mevorchim Elul in the city of Lubavitch. This is quoting the Friedrich Rebbe, the Sikha. Dem Shabbos Mevorchim Elul in Lubavitch, this Shabbos Mevorchim Elul in Lubavitch, Hagam es fleckt noch sein, a klor zun scheinen diger Tag. Although it was still a very clear, sunshine full day, it was a complete, clear, it was a very sunny day. Hat sich schon der Avir Gebit, the air already changed. Es hat sich schon eingeheben fühlen der Elul Reach. You can start to smell the Elul smell. You can feel the Elul smell. Es hat schon geblosen at Teshuva wind. There was blowing already a wind of Teshuva. So he talks about the sun over here. He talks about the air. He talks about the smell, and he talks about the wind. The Rebbe is going to go into all the details. Alle Reid und Wörter von Rabbi Seinu Nisienu, all the words, the talks and the words of our masters, our leaders, Zainen Meduyuk, are precise in alle Zeire Protim, in all of their details. Is verstanden, so it's understood as the vier Teurim Zainen Do, in their Sikha, that these four descriptions that we find in this talk, the Negeye Shabbos Mevorchim Elul, as it relates to the Shabbos Mevorchim of Elul, and they are, number one, Aleph, the Klorer Zunshine, we talk about the clear sunshine. Beis, number two, that Umbayk for them Avir, there is a change in the ear, we talk about the ear change. Gimel, number three, those feeling the Reach from Elul, fire feeling the smell of Elul. Talk about the smell of Elul. Dalit does blosen from Atshuva, into four, that there's blowing a wind of Tshuva. So then it's Tamil, it's not just beautiful ways of expressions, of saying, no design of feeding yonim, but rather these are four aspects, because Drikin Oiz, the Pnimis, Dikun Toichen, Shabbos Mevorchim Elul, they express the inner content of the Shabbos when we bless the month of Elul. Nochmer, furthermore, the rate for Rabbi Seinu Risienu, the words of our Rebbes, our leaders, they're not only precise as it relates to what they said, but also as it relates when it was said. Jeder Inyan haben sie gesagt, every matter they said in the Zman was zugepasst during the time that is fit for that. Und zu welchen hat Shaykhs and to which is a connection. It was said at that time. Now, it doesn't mean that it's only for that time. It's for all times. But that time and when it was said, that's the specific connection. Although as the influence, the fun, was that needs to also extend beyond this. As explained in many places. And since my father-in-law, the Rebbe, had wegen Toyar from Shabbos Mevorchim Elul, he discussed describing the Shabbos Mevorchim Elul, Pesach. He gave this talk. That was the festival of Pesach. He's move on, so it's understood. As is do apnimi is the keshaychus, that there is an inner connection, verbunden, that's something that ties zwischen the zwei Zmanim, these two times, the time of Shabbos Mevorchim Elul and Chag Pesach. But l'cheir is in Gabri nit verstanden. L'cheir, seemingly, this is totally not understood. It's zwei Zmanim for Shabbos Mevorchim. These two types. When we talk about Shabbos Mevorchim, we talk about Elul, blessing of Elul, the month of Elul. On Pesach, Zayin in Zeir Inyan v'Toichim. So in their contents and their meaning, Nidlo is anders. Not only are they different, but they're actually opposites. Einer from Tzveit, one from the other. The Inyan from Pesach is Hamshocha Milmayla Lamata. The concept of Pesach is to draw down from above to below. Frier first, my beloved to me, meaning Hashem to me. And after that, Vaniloi, that I go to him, which is the Pasik in Shir Hashirim Beis, Pasik Tazayin, as the brings in the Hare. But this is Yedua, and this is also known as the Geula from Yitzias Mitzrayim. That how was the redemption of the exodus of Egypt? Is the Kuman, it came about nit durch der Avodah for the that didn't come through the service, the work of the Jews. Because as far as the level of the Jews, their service, it was just the opposite. Far Yitzias Mitzrayim, before they left Egypt, they were actually in a situation. These were worshiping idols, and these were worshiping idols. So there wasn't much of a difference. So the redemption didn't take place because of the Sarusa de Latata, the work of the Yidden below. Nor B'derech Sarusa de La'ela. That took place in a way of arousal of above. It was from Hashem it came. That sort of aroused, woke up the arousal from below by the Yidden. So basically the month of Nisan is when the arousal comes from above. But as opposed to in the month of Elul, which is their Zman, the time of service, in an oifen, then you work in a way milmata l'maylo, from below to above. Frier ani ledoidi, as in the word of Elul, starts with ani ledoidi. You start, I am to my beloved, which means Sarusa Lutato. We start an arousal from below. And then Sarusa de Leila, then later followed by Sarusa Leila V'Deidili, which is the Likom, which is the Pasik in Shir Hashirim Vav Pasik Gimel. Rosh Tevis Elul. This is Rosh Tevis of Elul. So darf verstehen. So since it's totally diametrically opposed ideas, there is milmaila lamata tishrei. Elul is milmata lamaila. So why is he talking about in the month of Pesach or in the festival of Pesach? Verbringen about the month of Elul. Was darf man verstehen, was an Ort hat zu beweisen sein in dem Zman von Pesach. What room is there to explain in the time of Pesach the meaning for Shabbos Baruch Elul, the idea of the Shabbos Baruch, the idea of Elul? What is the connection? And the Rebbe is going to say that even though we're talking here about the Isurusa de Latata and Elul, but no Isurusa de Latata comes without first having the Isurusa de Leila. Of course, the Isurusa de Leila that follows the Isurusa de Latata is much greater than the Isurusa de Leila that precedes the Isurusa de Latata, but we still need the Isurusa de Leila. The general Isurusa de Leila is Pesach. To understand this idea, this is Yedua, in Maimer Razal, it's known as the sages of blessed memory say on the verse, whoever can, it's rhetorically said, who comes before and I will pay him. Basically, nothing is before. You can't do even a mitzvah without the Eibishter's help, without the Isurusa de Le'ela. Cannot be the money. No, nobody comes first. So really, we cannot demand from Hashem any payment for what He owes us, because there's nothing that comes before Hashem. Everything that we do comes from Hashem. So therefore, what do we see from this? Even that which a Jew reaches through his service is thus that's also through the power that he is given for this from above. No, there is Surusa de Le'ela only after there is an arousal from above. Then he's able to do his service in a way of arousal of below. The Rebbe explains, as Elul is there is a man that during Elul is the time when Svern is Gala, that the 13 attributes of mercy are being revealed. And he gives an example, a parable for this, from a king which finds himself in the field. Was Damo Meg Yeder was vil. Then everybody who wishes is allowed Aris Gaindor to go out there and to greet the king over there, etc. This haste. So what does it mean? We still need you to give us rachmet. Although Hagam as in Chodesh Elul, although in the month of Elul is there Seder Havoida Milmata L'Maylo, that over there the order of the Avoida is from below to above. In a way that there is an arousal from below, that signifies that's the special hallmark of Elul from Desveg, but yet still, nevertheless, of that alone for that work that you do, required is galus the revelation of the 13 attributes of mercy, and giving permission and the power from above, and of them kumt the avodah of Anila Doidi, and then comes the service of Anila Doidi. You are you turning to your beloved, turning to Hashem, is only after you have the Tzerusa de Le'ela, in which there is permission given, in which there is revelation of the Gimel Tzarachamim, and you have the power to go out and move to the king. Is moving. So it's understood. As the Tzerusa de Le'ela was vet nimshach noch durch der Avodah b'Tzerusa de Le'ela, so that the arousal from above that extends after and through one's work in the arousal from below is a sach hecher b'disarusa de leila. It is in a much higher level than the arousal above was vert nimshach al sakdomen zu der Avodah. about the arousal from above that extends as an introduction that comes before the service. The Sarusa de Leila that comes after the service is a much higher level than the Sarusa de Leila that comes before the service. Warum? Because the Baal the Friediki Sarusa de Leila kumbederach chesed chinam, since the previous Sarusa de Leila, before Sarusa de comes in a manner of kindness for free without working for her. The mele is a samshocha nor, so therefore it's only an extension for the external of life. As opposed, when we have the Sarusa Leila being extended as Dur Chavoida, that comes through service. Since we know, as the Pasuk says, that Hashem looks forward to your hand, he wants your action. So that has to be a lot more meaningful. That's not only external. He says, that's is therefore an arousal from the inner of life. This is verstandig, but it's also understood. Those was the sarusa de letata hodem koyach zu me'ir sein, the sarusa de leila. This, that the arousal from below has the power to arouse the arousal from above, this comes from the Friedrich Sarusa Leila from the previous Sarusa Leila. So when do we have that arousal of above? So in a very specific way, we have it in Elul itself. That's Yud Mitzrachim. But in a general way, it comes from Pesach. On Agam, and although as the Nisinas Koyach to der Avodah that the power, we were given the power for this Avodah Manila Doide, is the his galus from the Gimel Mitzrachim and Chodesh Elul. That is the revelation of the 13 attributes of mercy on the month of Elul. That's the Sarusa de Leila. Von destet wegen yet, the bald as jeder ihnen hat sein bestimmten Onheb Mikersman, since every aspect, the Sarusa de Leila has its set beginning and main time. Und der Zman von Amshocha Sarusa de Leila bechlal. When is the time for the extent of Sarusa Leila in a general way is Pesach. It's the beginning, so that's the general as we said before. Masha'enkin Elul, but as opposed to Elul, was mitzad atzmi is that the Zman ha'avodah milmat l'mayla. Elul on its own, that's the time of milmat l'mayla kiman zegurud. So is oich b'negeya the Sarusa Leila in Elul. Likewise, it's also as far as the arousal from above in the month of Elul, that the main time for it, where does it come from? It comes from the general Sarusa Leila from Pesach, the Shoydish, the Hamshocha is the Pesach, the root of that Hamshocha is on Pesach. Thus haste, as Pesach is the Zman from the Sarusa Leila and Eifim Kloli. Pesach is the time when there is a arousal from above in a general way. From the kum der noch the protis become shochas, and from this general Yisrusa de Leila come the very detailed, specific hamshochas by jeden Indian in sein bestimmten Zman, by every aspect of that set time. Koilel oich the hamshocha given tzarachim and chodesh Elul, which also includes that hamshocha of the 13 attributes of mercy and chodesh Elul. They started and they're rooted in the general Jerusalem Leila, which comes down in the month of Nisan. Pesach. On the far is the Sikha of Shabbos Mevorchim Elul, and therefore this talk about the Shabbos Mevorchim Elul was the Shabbos Mevorchim Bern Nimshach. And Shabbos Mevorchim, and then is that time it extends. So Shabbos Elul, we have the all matters in a general way of the month of Elul. So it's basically talking about Shabbos Elul. It's talking about all of Elul. Also the bringing down the third natural mercy. That was in Pesach, because in Pesach is the main and the beginning of the Hamshocha from Yud Gimel Mitzrachim. Oh, Gimel, Abizeh, seine verstandig die vielen Yonim in dem Teuer for Shabbos Uvorchim Elul. So according to this, we understand the four aspects in the description of the Shabbos Uvorchim Elul in the Sicha Anal and the above talk. Welche seinen Bechlolus eingeteilt in zwei Sugim, which are generally divided into two categories. We have the Lichtigkeit Behiris von Ziv HaShemesh on one hand, that one aspect, the light and the clarity of the sun, the sunshine, in ersten Fall, as he said, Agam es fleckt noch sein, a klor zum shine dikator. For although it was still a very clear, shiny day, so he talks about the shine of the sun, shiny day. And then, on the other hand, you have the other three items. The enderum from them, avir, the change in the ear. Das Feeling dem reach, is a change in the ear. The feeling of the smell from Elul, the feeling from Elul. And das Blosen von Atshuva and the blowing of a wind of Tshuva in Sveiten Fall, which is the second case. So you have the one, you have the light of the sun. That represents the Sarusa de Leila. Then you have the Sarusa de Latata in the three other aspects. The light and the ray of the sun, that extends from above. Was in the inner matters of things, that means the extension and the shine of Shemesh Havai. Havai is the sun Havai. That is extended into the month of Elul. The apparat for the Ramshocha clothes of Chedesh Nisan as a detail of the general Ramshocha of Sarusa de Leila, which takes place in the month of Nisan. The andere drei inyonim and the other three aspects, they express the arousal from the creations below, which are awoken through this extension and the shine from Shemesh Havai. Dalet. Shemesh Havai is the Sarusa de Leila, brings the three levels. The Shaykhs, so there is oiris from the Nivroim as the connection to the arousal and the creation, which comes from the Ramshach Mamayla, which comes from the extension, the Asarusa Leila from above. He says two matters here. First, he says, as such a ongoing feeling that Elul Reyach, he talks about the smell of Elul. And then it says, as a showing Giblozen Atshuva mit. So there was also a Tshuva mit. And soon we'll see about the change in the ear that he brings. But the what happens is there was a smell of Elul and there was a Tshuva. The Shaykhs from Reyach and Ruach to Elul and Tshuva. So what's the connection between the smell and the wind of to Elul and to Tshuva? Iker, which is the avoid of the people. Iker Tshuva u'kumeshakosu v'ruach toshuv Elul v'kim asher nesama. Mainly Tshuva is, as the pasuk says, that the spirit, the ruach, returns to Elikim, to God who has given it. The Iker Zach from Tshuva, the main aspect of Tshuva, is to the Heimenzich to the Chinas Ruach, is to rise to the level of Ruach, to the level of the Neshama. That is a level which is higher than oil. The oil is the shemesh, the sun. This is a level of ruach. Then you accomplish returning to Elikim. Das ist Kveit Kedushas. Merichomo Admur, father of the Rebbe, hints, Meramis, he hints with the word Tshuva Wind, with the wind of Tshuva. Warum der Iker from Tshuva, Elul, the main thing of Tshuva, which is Elul, is in the Bechina from Ruach, Wind, to have the idea of Ruach Elikim, Asher Nesona, Tshuva Wind, and to raise to the level of Ruach, to raise and rise to the level of Elikim, which is higher than the level of Earth. Und damit ist euch, when the Shaykh is from the Reach Zel. Now we also understand what the Reach is connected to. The Iker Avoida von Anila Doidi in Elul, the main thing of Anila Doidi, I'm to my beloved Elul, is Avoida Satshuva. Was durch them is Mazechet zu Ruach Shel Mashiach. That way we get to the Ruach of Mashiach. And what's the Ruach of Mashiach? Was Angilu Meshteit in Bechinas Reach. His revelation consists in the level of Reach. So through the Ruach Hashem Mashiach, it'll be the level of Reach. We should state that's accomplished through Tshuva. We should state impossible. He will give him the Reach, he'll smell Yiras Hashem. And proof the Mois Dafki mit Merech Bedoin. How did they know his Mashiach? He wanted to see if he can smell and show, because it says Varichem Yiras Hashem, and that's how they inspected Mashiach, to make sure he's Mashiach, if he can smell if he can judge by smelling. The Chazal Zog, as the Gemara brings down. So those are the two. As the Avir is an introduction, Al Sagdoma to the Tzvein Yonim, Ruach from Tshuva. The ear, the Tshuva Ruach Elikim Ashetoshu, Bechinas Reach from Elul. And then level of Reach of Elul that you get the Ruach Shel Mashiach, and you get the level of Richah Yiras Hashem. So Zok Chak Merichom Admur in the Sikha. Therefore, the Friedger says in the talk, as Sotzuk showing that Avir Gebitten. He says the ear has changed. On Deichnik the mid, he pointed to that the ear changed. The ear is something which is essential, which we need all the time. That itself, that already changed. So it's the necessities, and that everybody needs it. It's not for one or for the other. It's a necessity that everybody needs. For I mentioned in the needs for life of a human being. So there are many categories. You need a house to live in. Kleidung, that's garments. Essen, to eat, drink, and to drink. And you need air to breathe. Avir. One is more important than the other. Clothing is more important than a house. But even more, despise is food. Even more important is drinking. What's most important than everything is Luftzuatmen, to have air to breathe. But that is a constant. You always need to breathe. On average and without air to breathe, cannot even be sustained. You can't hold out even for a duration for a short time. As I mentioned, since a person needs so much important to the person, he needs it so strongly, he needs so much the ear, and as usual, that a person breathes this constantly with ear. Is the Chumuvan. So that is understood as the Badaitum to Elis from Avir. That what is the meaning when the Friedrich Rebbe uses the air change? What's the benefit from Avir? Is a Zach was yeder ein that the stomach. It's an aspect that everybody feels it constantly. And this is the Kavanah from them. This is the intent. From them was from that is said in this talk about the ear. The Baal, the Reach from Elul is Ruach HaTshuva, since the smell of Elul is the spirit of Tshuva, fillen sich schon in dem Gebieten Avir von Elul, so that is already felt in the changed ear of Elul. Hastes, that means as they seinen Danin and Eufen von Avir, and that is already like they become like the ear. They're not tied to any trouble. Easy you breathe, it's like ear, it's available. And they apply, and they're important for each one. They sustain, vitalize each one, every soul, every neshama, with every breath. As our sages tells the birth, that all souls will press. So that Chazal tell us, I'll call Neshima. Neshama means for every breath and breath, we praise Hashem, hallelujah. This is Mesichas Shabbos Re'eh, Shabbos Menachem Elul, Tavshin, Chav Zayin.